Hello guys, welcome to another Cyberty channel video, rebooted this time, talking in English, hell yeah. So, welcome to the channel, thank you very much for being here, and I hope you enjoyed the video of today, which will be us building the E-235 series from Japan in the Yamanote line. Now, this train is one of my favorite trains in the whole world. I like the design, the build itself, the color palette, it has everything perfect in my opinion. So we'll be building that in scrap mechanic, going with the wheel chassis for the first place. I'll leave you what to fidget. So you might be wondering what I was trying to do here. Well, it's very simple. So as you see, the train chassis needed to obviously run on the tracks. So that's what I first began. The train chassis was supposed to be simple pretty much, but I thought we're making a Japanese train, and Japanese people make insane things, just like poop restaurants. Look it up, it exists. So I decided to go a little bit for the level, and I decided to add suspension to the chassis later on. So basically I was trying to have a good chassis, one that will obviously last on the track, have tilting, suspension, and speed, stabilization, all the sort of stuff that modern trains have. I was trying to do something similar. So basically I struggled here to make a cover for the wheels in the train here. I struggled for so long, I don't know why, but I struggled for so goddamn long. Anyways, I'll let you back in, so that you can keep watching my misery while I was trying to build wheel covers. Yeah, misery. After so goddamn long of thinking and doing different versions of suspension, as you can see me strolling for a couple of minutes, I finally decided that maybe I should add suspension elsewhere. So I tried one concept after another, and then I also dude, this is not going to work, and it didn't work. So I said, then where the hell can I add suspension? So I thought for a while, and I almost did some math, no really, and then I thought, maybe I could add suspension below the passenger carriage. So that's what I did. I did a little hole, I put the suspension, welded it, and it worked flawlessly. So much for nothing. Anyways, then I tried to join the bases for the wheel cover, and I said, hey, it worked, but the suspension's not working, scrap mechanic wants to kill me. So basically afterwards I said, this is not going to work. I scrapped the wedges and I kept redesigning the wheel chassis for the next 10 minutes. Once I was happy with the chassis I had made, I joined two of them together to make a body. So then I had the wheel bases and a body. So I started checking the seats for which one I will use to make the train seats for the passenger carriage. I decided for the saddle one, and then I started making the body of the train itself. So I kind of started designing a little bit. I started putting a couple of blocks, walls, seeing how the tilting worked. Everything was going very good. It wasn't being a big mess as I expected. So definitely I'm not rusty for building to a mechanic. Anyways, I was building a lot of walls and I was checking to see if it was symmetrical or not, see how the wheels I could cover them. At the end, I'm just covering them with the tilting. Each time the train will tilt, it will kind of cover the wheels, as you can see in a couple of frames. It covers them almost flawlessly, but I decided to not really interfere a lot with the wheels. And I thought that was fine, looked good. But the roof was a little bit too low, so I got rid of it, put another block. Then I said to measure if it was symmetrical top and bottom. It was not, so I had to add one more layer to the roof, and then it was 3, 1, 3 blocks. So then I decided to start hauling out the walls for the train, and then make the doors, the cabin, and try to add more stuff. Now, around the point I was trying to put the AC unit on top of the majority of JR trains, I noticed that my train was very small, like extremely small, and I said, no, that's not right. So I said that I want to make the train at a realistic scale, between many parameters as best as I could. So I started designing the train the best I could to make it the most realistic, and that meant making it bigger so that I can make the AC unit right in the middle. JR trains have 4 doors and a couple of windows, so I started to base off from that, and I spread the cabin from the back wagon, and I started designing more than I ever have. What a train! kind of started designing the windows, I noticed how big the wagon will really be. Since the train has 4 doors, I had to make almost that size 4 times. So I said, okay, this is going to take too long, so I'm going to duplicate the window to make it a little bit faster. So that's exactly what I did. I started taking apart the window. I took it from the wagon. I started trying to weld it, measuring some stuff to see when I could put in the lift and duplicate it. So once I had everything figured out, put the piston back and the door restored, I started to put a couple blocks to see where I could put the window. Then once I set it, I welded, but I'm pretty sure I had it wrong, so I took it off. We had a wedge from it, of course, and then I re-welded the window on the right spot after I figured where it was going wrong, which was the top part of the wagon. So then the windows were welded perfectly, and then I saved the design once again. Then I tweaked it out a little bit and welded it well once again to make it 4 doors. Now in here, to make the wheel align with the back one and make it go perfectly without so much complication, I did this interesting decision to make a little cross pattern on the wheel. So when I did it, I was able to measure the kind of distance from the wheels from the end to the front of the carriage. So I kind of started like making the X, and then I fixed the end part because of course I need to fix the little part because it wasn't at the end. So I cut it, I put a couple blocks back, and then I realized the wheel is way too overshot. So I got rid of it, I detached it from the body, and then I re-welded it again with the same design to have better alignation. And once I kind of fixed it up, I took the front part and welded it to the front, and there we have a full train. Now that is some wonderful work. Afterwards, I always wanted to put the AC unit, so I started working on that. Now, of course that I made the AC unit, one of my favorite parts, they look beautiful. But I also decided a place to place the logic from the train so that I can control it. And guess where I decided to put it? Exactly, as you can see in the AC unit. So I started putting a couple of logic gates, I started putting down some stuff, connecting them, check if they work right or not. And once I was happy with that, I decided to make a little alert system for when the door was opening and closing. So I made a little clock, and then I started working so hard to make the timings right. So I started connecting the doors, I connected another logic gate to check when the timer will start and stop, or when the doors open and close. I did a little check for which sound was better for the opening and closing door sound. I decided for the Bluetooth bot, the little door one. I mean, it looks appropriate. So I tuned it out, I said it was good, and I placed it down. So once that was done, I started looking for the doors, checking the system, but it didn't work. I struggled so much to make this stuff, and I ended up changing the whole design for nothing.
You serious?
So I made this whole stuff, do some calculation stuff, working with logic gates, literally melting my poor brain until I said, hey, I can make events with the timers. So I started playing with the timers, and I kept playing with the timers, and I said, wait, I can use timers to make it. They turn on and off with a certain time, and even when they're done or they begin. So I said, so I've been doing all of this for nothing. And oh my gosh, believe me, I was like big brain moment. I was like, then afterwards I kept playing with the stuff till I realized, because I'm telling you this before I knew. As you can see, I was playing so long with this stuff that I can't even imagine how long it took. This took really long, man. I like. Oh, that's right. I also tried to use sensors to detect when the doors opened and closed. So then I kept trying it, but it didn't work. It was always or on or off, would never like start on and stop off. So I kept playing with the logic, and I kept playing with the logic, and this took like, how much time we took? 20 minutes approximately, I will say, until I realized that I could use the timers to do the events. You can see here that I started doing with the timer stuff, and I realized that if I set them to the right timing and then to the right waiting time, and I connect them to the right place, I had an alarm. That was pretty much the body. Now, once I was done with the body, which was so goddamn long, I decided to start doing the interior, which required me to put chairs. So I began. I started putting some wood blocks and some carpet blocks too. And I will say the looks very good, but not really. I mean, I like the design by myself. I like with the poles and stuff, but then I said, no, they're way too low. So then I took them out, I put them a little bit higher, and then I said the chairs look a little bit too flat. So I started to look for a block and also paint the floor. So basically, you might wonder why paint the floor. Well, I need to be able to differentiate the floor between the seats. So that's what I did. I basically painted part of the floor to see how it would look. Then I looked for a reference image on Google about the interior of the E-235 series, and I found a very good image. So the seats are like gray from the bottom, but at the top they are like from a limeish gray. You know, you can look for that color you want. So then afterwards I went for a couple designs, and then I decided, no, this does not look right. So I said, maybe I should do it more like in real life. So that's what I started doing. Then I decided to duplicate the chair, so I took some measurements and I started making a chair outside from the wagon so that I could save it for the lift and then weld it afterwards. Of course, we want to save time here, so I basically redid it once again outside and then I saved it and I had to weld it. And we have practically arrived to our end. Thank you so much everybody for joining into this small little 20-minute journey of building the little body of the train that I wish to do. This will be part 1 most likely. I'll probably publish the next part in a few days maybe. But yeah, thank you so much for staying at the end. I appreciate it and I hope I see you next chapter. Guess I'll see ya. Good morning, good evening,